this is Tom Simmons. Welcome to the introductory video in Business 209, Principles of Marketing. Now, whatever it is that you thought in the first 2 or 3 seconds of this video, I want you to hold on to that. I want you to remember that. If you went through the syllabus and the instructor bio that I posted to our site before watching this video, you probably saw a picture of me in my Coast Guard auxiliary uniform. And that may have either raised a flag for some of you, or it may have made you feel more at ease. Some of you may be veterans or have relatives who work in the armed forces or uniformed services, and it immediately created a positive image for you. Others may have had negative experiences with such people, and maybe it raised a red flag saying, oh no, is a military guy going to be teaching this course? Same thing here. What was your reaction when we opened up this video and this is what you saw? This is why marketing is so important, because you don't have a long time to make that impression and to establish an image in the consumer's mind as to what your product is and what value it brings for them. So I'm going to ask my production assistant to turn off the camera, and we're going to start this all over again, and I'll look a little bit more like a professor. Okay, so let's start all over. Tom Simmons with Principles of Marketing, Business 209. And this might be a little bit more of what you expected. But obviously I did that on purpose to make a point. And as we go through this marketing course, we want to make sure that everything we say, everything we do, everything that we publish about a product or a good or a company conveys a consistent message and a consistent image. Now, if you don't mind me looking at my notes for a second, there have been a number of different periods and philosophies as to how business would sell their products in public. And the initial philosophy was called the product orientation. And this really came as a result of mechanization and assembly lines, and you can date it right up through, let's say, the 1950s. We're Maytag. We make washing machines. That's all we have to do is show you that we are the ones that make the machines. Westinghouse makes refrigerators. Ford makes cars. There weren't a lot of choices. There weren't a lot of individualized gadgets or personalization of the products. They simply said, we're the company, we make a product, surely you want to buy this because everyone else is. Well, by the 1950s, many people had their washing machine and their television set in their car. And there needed to be a way to reinvigorate sales. And so then we moved into an era that was called the sales orientation era. And this is where if you want to think of it as the hard sell, the timeshare salesperson, the car salesman, who was pushing to get you to buy something that you may or may not need, that you may have buyer's remorse over. But the whole emphasis was on sales and selling. And there were even buzz phrases that salespeople were taught to use. Do you have any objections to this? Do you agree with me so far? In order to convince people to buy things. We then moved into the current era. And this era is called the marketing orientation era. The marketing concept is no longer about just making things and saying we have them. It's no longer about pushing you to buy things. It is now customer-oriented and customer-centered. It is all about conveying information to the consumer to show that this product or this service has value to them. It creates value in their life. And then establishing an ongoing relationship with this customer. Specifically, the marketing concept is defined as a managerial philosophy that an organization should try to satisfy customer needs through a coordinated set of activities that also allows the organization to achieve its goals. In other words, it's not primarily about the organization making money or making a profit. It is primarily about satisfying consumer needs in such a way that the organization is able to profit and prosper as well. So, if you came to a marketing course thinking, well, marketing's all about advertising, there's a lot of people who have that concept, who have that idea that advertising is, putting an ad together in the newspaper or throwing a billboard up. It's not. It's a much more comprehensive set of activities designed to create value for that consumer. Now, over the course of this course, we will be going into each and every one of these aspects in depth. I'm just going to cover it very basically right now. The first thing that a company needs to do is identify its target market. And I often have students who will say to me that they're willing to sell that product to anyone. Of course I am. Hey, I'm opening up a new jewelry store or an Etsy jewelry store or a toy store on the street. And I'll say, who's your target market? And they respond with, anybody. Anybody can buy our goods. Well, of course anybody can buy your goods. But everybody is not your target market. If you're selling children's toys, then people without children or who don't have grandchildren and are not interested in buying gifts for children are not your target market. If you are, if you're running an outdoor hiking or mountain climbing outfitting club, most people at a assisted living home are not your target market. And I'm not saying this to be nasty or snarky. It's the reality. Not everyone is the precise target for your particular product. And one of the things you're going to need to do is decide who is most likely to buy your product. Who is the customer that's going to receive the most value from entering into an ongoing purchase relationship with you? How can you satisfy their needs? Now, having done that, everything you do should convey that value to that customer. And we call this the marketing mix, and it's very often referred to in shorthand as the 4 Ps: price, product, place, and promotion. See, it's not just about, taking out an ad. The price needs to be appropriate for whatever product or service you're selling. And that doesn't necessarily mean the lowest price. It means the price that conveys value for what you're selling. If you are selling $65 filet mignon steaks at a restaurant, you are not going to, that's not going to be consistent with paper placemats and crayons for kids. You're obviously going to have a design for your business that's much more posh, much more polished, much more upscale. Price has got to fit the product that you're selling. The product itself, maybe you're selling them individually, maybe you're selling them in packages, maybe you're selling something that the consumer takes home and puts together themselves, maybe you're offering a delivery service. The product itself has got to be well thought out. Place. Place stands for distribution, but in order to have 4 Ps, we call it place. And this was probably not the most sexiest concept in the past. Place. Well, yeah, you put your product in the store. Ever since the COVID pandemic has hit, the idea of place has become the critical aspect of the marketing mix. How do I get this good to my customers? Especially for restaurants who have found themselves delivering meals or having meals outside or coming up with creative ways to bring the product to the customer. And then finally, promotion. Whether you are promoting on social media or promoting through radio or television or direct mail or through some other mechanism. All of these items, price, product, promotion, and place, need to work together to create a consistent message, and that message should be, this product creates value for you, my target market. Now, even if you think you've got all those things in place, we operate in a marketing environment. In the marketing environment are all the outside things that you don't have direct control over that are going to affect your ability to market this product. And the marketing environment includes things like competition. You may have a great little coffee shop, but if Starbucks opens across the street, something's going to need to change. Who you are, what your brand image is, the value you bring consumers needs to be differentiated from what Starbucks is doing. The economy changes. Entire sections of cities change when real estate prices go through the roof or crash, and new groups come in and buy buildings up and raise rents or decide to demolish the building that your business is renting in order to build a high-rise office building. Politics changes. Best example I can give you right now are sales of cannabis. The political climate, the political environment is changing that business big time right now. There are legal and regulatory environments that change, and every restaurant attempting to seek customers right now, during the COVID pandemic, is experiencing that. There are technological changes. When I was growing up, it was really cool to have a Selectric typewriter, and then you could use your Correcto tape that you put in the typewriter and backspace in order to erase a mistake. Now every one of you is block, deleting, cut, paste, makes it a lot easier, and no one uses typewriters anymore. So technological innovation is going to change the usefulness and the value of your product. And then finally, there are social and cultural changes that take place that are beyond your control. A good example from this year, you will no longer find Aunt Jemima syrup on the shelves in the supermarket because the cultural and social environment has changed to such an extent that this no longer conveys a positive image. It no longer brings value to the consumer. And so that product has been discontinued under that name. So, the goal all along here is to create value for your customers so that they want to purchase your goods because it brings value to their lives, and in so doing, it brings profit and revenue to your company. It's a win-win situation. That's what characterizes this marketing era, the marketing concept, and the market orientation, as opposed to the old-fashioned product orientation and the hard sales pitch orientation. So over the course of the next 13 weeks, we will be looking at each of the elements that I've just discussed in depth with examples from the real business world as to how these elements come together successfully or not. Thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to working with you this semester. Thank you.